Psalm 63 says this: O God, you are my God. Earnestly I seek you. My soul thirsts for you. My body longs for you in a dry and weary land where there is no water. I have seen you in the sanctuary and beheld your power and your glory. Because your love is better than life, my lips will glorify you. I will praise you as long as I live, and in your name I will lift up my hands. My soul will be satisfied as with the richest of foods. With singing lips my mouth will praise you. Those first few verses from Psalm 63 tell us about a situation where someone is weary, where they're worn down by the dry heat, the intensity. David is in the desert of Judah, and in a desert he longs for this sense of God's presence as much as his body longs for water. The intensity of heat dries out his skin and his lips are parched, and it's such a symbol for him of how he longs desperately for God to step in. And he remembers the times when he's been in the sanctuary, when he's been in a place of worship, where he's been aware of God's presence, and he recognizes God's love is better than life. How amazing is the love of God, and it's very precious and treasured to him. And so he recognizes he wants to just respond to that love. He wants to re-engage with the love of God. He wants to sort of remind himself that that's better than anything that he can have in the physical. And there's something that stirs in him in the midst of a very difficult situation, in the midst of his desperate and very real need, and his intensity of thirst, his intensity of sort of physical struggle he's experiencing. In the midst of that, he recognizes that deeper spiritual need that he has. Doesn't negate the fact that he's thirsty or hungry in that situation at that time, but he's recognizing the need spiritually for something that would fulfill him, that would make him complete and satisfied. So I just wanted to pray that God would give us a deep spiritual hunger as well, that wherever we are with maybe filling our own practical needs, our own immediate needs, maybe those things feel very real, they feel right up in your face at the moment. Maybe those needs are pressing and deeply challenging. But I want to pray too that the spiritual needs, the deep spiritual needs that we all have, will also be met, and that those things will come to the forefront of your mind as well, and in many senses that God will speak to you and remind you of your spiritual needs, and that he is the way in which they can be fulfilled, they can be met properly. We all have those spiritual needs, and I think sometimes actually when we have a lot in different ways, which we do of course in the West, we have plenty in lots of areas of life, it's easy to neglect our spiritual need. In a sense, we feel that we've satisfied ourselves in other things have given us a sense of fulfillment, and very often those things bring temporary fulfillment, but they also can bring a lot of emptiness too. They themselves are not going to meet that deep need that we have for God and for God's presence. And very often we end up just being reminded of our emptiness without God's presence. So I want to pray that we will have that deep spiritual hunger, that God will stir that in us, that we have a fresh reality of it, and a fresh longing for his presence, and God will meet that deepest need in you and me. Bless you loads.